Hi everyone, and welcome back out to Harvest Hills Ranch. I'm looking forward to sharing with you today about upper body exercises that you can implement using a bench. Now, you may also be able to implement these with a chair in your home or some other light piece of equipment or furniture, but I'm going to illustrate this with the bench to show you how to maximize your workouts with these. Now, previously we talked about how to use the bench for lower body activities. Well, today we're switching gears and moving up top to upper body activities. Hey guys, I am Dr. Arland Hill, and I have a passion for all things nutrition, health, and wellness related, and I enjoy sharing this information with you so that you can help move your health forward as well. So today we're going to be looking at the bench. And I'm going to show you a couple of exercises, not many, but things that you can implement fairly quickly to start getting a good upper body workout. Now, let's jump right into this and let me share these with you. All right, the first one that we've got here is going to be the dip. And for the dip, the bench works excellent for this because we can just find it's a stable piece of equipment, and this is one of the reasons that I like the bench. And we'll just give you a word of caution with a chair or something else that you decide to do this on, is that it may not be as stable, so just be mindful of that. But what we're going to do with this is we're going to take our hands and wrap them around the bench and just put our body weight down through our wrist. And as we do this, we're starting out with everything in a straight line between the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. And what you're going to do is take those elbows and turn those elbows back. You're going to externally rotate the arms, so turning the elbows back, and you're going to just push your elbows back. And you'll notice that I'm going down, and then I push back up. And push those elbows back, and then I'm going back up. Now, one thing we don't want to do as we're doing this is we don't want to round down, right? We don't want to round ourselves off, because when we do that, what that does is it brings the shoulder forward. We want that shoulder to stay stable. As you're doing these, I would recommend taking the shoulder blade and keep the shoulder blade tucked against your rib cage. You want to contract the muscles so that you feel your shoulder blade staying stiff on your rib cage. Now, when I say stiff, I'm just meaning that the muscles are contracting there, not that the shoulder blade can't move. But remember, the emphasis for this movement is predominantly in the triceps. So we keep those shoulder blades nice and tight, and then we push back up. We're pushing through the tricep, that back side of the arm, the posterior side there. That's what we're emphasizing. Okay? Just like that's what we're shooting for. Keep that head forward, neutral, and you may find it doesn't take very long to get the triceps burning on this, but you may find that as you're doing this, you may have to start out, especially if you haven't been doing anything of this nature, you may find that you have to do short motions here. That may be all you're looking for right there. It's just short motions. But again, guys, I will tell you, it's not going to take long to get these burning. In fact, if all you can do is just hold this position right here with a slight bend in those elbows as they're pointing back, just hold that position if you need to start building some strength to be able to do this. And it's amazing how much of a burn you will start to get in your triceps just trying to implement that. There is going to be a bit of work on the pec muscles up here, not a lot. Some on the shoulder, but you'll find that this is truly emphasizing the arm muscles here. Great exercise for doing that. All right, now let's go ahead and roll right into the next exercise. And for this, we're going to also be focusing on the tricep. However, on this one, we're actually going to go ahead and get off the bench, and we're going to use a different body placement altogether for this next exercise, which I'm going to call Tricep Extensions. Now, I said I was going to call this Tricep Extensions, and admittedly, Most people are going to think about tricep extensions as using a cable pulley system, some type of pin weight rack to do a tricep extension. So maybe we'll call this a body weight tricep extension, but the primary movement of the triceps is when that muscle contracts and it shortens, you're extending the forearm. So we call this a tricep extension. Now, here's how we do this from a standing position, but we're still using the bench. What we're going to do is you're going to place your hands right on the end of the bench. And the idea with this is to lean your body weight down through the shoulders, the elbows, and the wrist. You should be able to, when you take your hand and just do this with one hand, you should be able to feel the weight coming down into your wrist or into that palm of that hand that's still on the bench. So we're going to place both hands here, and same idea, we're going to take those, this is the positioning of the elbows is important here. So what we want to do is we want to take those elbows and turn them in, and we're going to contract the elbows, right? And then remember what I said, we're just pushing back up. The idea is that we want to extend the forearm. And so that's all you're doing here is extending the forearm, just like that. And you can move your body around for more emphasis on that. Or if you only need to go just say a portion of the movement, you can do a portion of the movement. And you can even, if you're just really getting started, just trying to understand how to feel this, you can just get down on your knees and just understand how to feel the movement, where you're tucking those elbows back in. And this, if you'll recall, if you happen to see when I shared how to perform a tricep extension on the ground with just your body weight, it looks very similar. You want to keep those hands closer together. We don't want the hands out. We want the elbows tucked into the side. You want the elbow along the rib cage here and tucked into the rib cage. And so that way, when you're doing that, as you're coming down, that keeps you locked in, and you make sure that you're really focusing in on those triceps. And when you're pushing back up, just pretend that you're pushing the bench away from you, right? As opposed to thinking about trying to just push yourself back up, try to think about pushing the bench away from you, and this will actually, it'll be a bit easier when you do that. You just take that and pretend you're pushing that bench away from you. And you come down nice and slow, push the bench away from you. All right, that's what we're shooting for. And the range on this as far as sets and reps, all this can vary just based on what your capabilities are. But if you can do this exercise competently, 10 to 15 reps is a good rep range. If you need to build up some strength on that, maybe just try doing some isometric holds here where you come down and you're just holding it. And then you get comfortable with that. And then you hold a little more. You get comfortable with that. You hold a little more. You get comfortable with that. Right? And so you can just slowly progress up over time to where you're comfortable at. Now, let me show you this last exercise for upper body. And with this one, I'm going to show you two variations that you can use on this. And one will help you get more comfortable with just doing the exercise. And the other one is going to be a way to protect your shoulder if you're an individual that has shoulder issues. These are not uncommon. And so I felt like it was important to put a variation in here for doing push-ups on the bench. So let me show you how to do those. Let's take a look at the push-up on the bench, and we're going to start with an incline push-up. And this is going to be very similar to when you're on the floor. You're going to find a hand position that's comfortable, shoulder width, maybe slightly wider than that, and you're going to have a nice flat back, all right? So everything between the neck, the shoulder blades, the low back, the pelvis, the knees, down to the ankles, everything's going to be a straight line. And we're going to take our hands and bring those elbows in, almost like almost think about it initially as you're twisting your hands into the bench. And when you do that, that's going to cause your elbow to come back and in. All right, so you're going to take that, you're going to bring that elbow back and in, and as you come down, you're going to keep the shoulder blades pressed against your rib cage, going down, and then up. All right, keeping the shoulder blades pressed against the rib cage, and then we're back up. Okay, so just one more here. I'm going to show you. Keep those shoulder blades pressed against the rib cage. Everything's nice and tight as you go down, and you're pushing back up. And so when you push back up, think about taking, it's not just pushing with your chest. You're pushing, the idea is that you're trying to push the shoulder blade back down and around. And as you do that, that's going to cause the chest muscles to contract. It'll cause your lat muscles to contract. The muscles around the shoulder blade are going to move more efficiently as well and protect the shoulder. However, what if you have an issue with your shoulder and you need to have a variation to protect that? Well, let me show you one of my favorite variations on the bench to be able to do that. And the reason I like this is because the bench offers the ability to be able to grab the sides of it, and it optimizes the width of the hands. So here's how I do that. Let me change the positioning. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our hands and we're going to grip the bench, and notice our hand positioning went, it turned in 90 degrees is what we're predominantly, is the predominant difference here, all right? So we turn that hand position in 90 degrees, but the mechanics are similar from here. So same thing, you're keeping the shoulder, keeping the shoulder blade nice and tight against your rib cage. You're turning those elbows in, and then as you go down, you can come back up. And just as you're doing this, think about constantly turning your palms of your hands into the bench. You're gripping and turning in and putting pressure, almost like you're trying to squeeze your hands together, but you can't because of the bench. But if you continue to try to do that, that causes everything on the shoulder blades to come down and around and then move back up. Down and around and move back up. It doesn't allow the shoulder blade to begin to want to wander out away from the rib cage. So again, we'll take that. We're going to take those elbows, tuck them in, try to squeeze the palms of our hands together, and then let that shoulder blade move on that rib cage. There you go. That's a variation. And same thing applies here. If this is not something that you can do, I would recommend initially getting to where you can just hold that position. So just put your hands, put your body in the right position and just hold it. Bend those elbows a little bit and just hold it. Build a little bit of strength. Hold it. And then you go down a little further and hold it. And until you can actually start to do repetitions of this. You're even getting a benefit when you're doing the isometric, the holding of the movement. There's also a benefit with that. So if you can't do the full range of motion, don't feel hampered by that, and don't let that be a deterrent from you moving forward. It's just a starting point. You'll get there, but you've got to start somewhere. And so this can be your starting point, right? Okay, guys, so there are a few exercises that you can incorporate in using the bench. It's that next progression up, and you'll find that these are also going to be exercises that you're going to continually build on. You're going to continue to use this bench regardless of whether you stay in that beginner zone or whether you start to progress up into more of an intermediate or even advanced. The bench is a key tool when it comes to working out, and it can really help diversify those workouts. So keep an eye out on doing these exercises, and I think you'll find that you really start to like and enjoy doing these. Hey, if you are interested more in what I do with patients, how I support them with their health, with exercise, with nutrition and other things that I recommend for them, go to drarlandhill.com to find out all about that. If you're interested in what we do out here at Harvest Hills Ranch, how we raise food with uncompromising principles and ethics,
You can go to harvesttillsranch.com to find out all about how we do it and what we produce. Maybe some of it's of interest to you. Until next time, I'm Dr. Arland Hill. I'll see you soon.